All right, welcome back to the Now Morning Show, everybody. We are keeping it moving here on the Now Morning Show, and we always cover all the topics. And now it is my pleasure to chat with Vivek Charan, who is the president of the San Juan Business Association. And we're speaking about the reopening of many businesses, well, in the country and specifically in San Juan. Good morning, Vivek.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on.
And thank you for being with us this morning. Now, there's been a release of some of the restrictions, and there are some industries that have profited from it. And, there are some businesses that were able to reopen. What's the general feeling with the business community in San Juan right now?
A huge sense of relief. I drove down Aranguez Road as I do every morning to go to work. I took a drive down El Socorro Road. I saw people with doubles out, some food vendors out.
Right.
I saw control space lines. But in chatting to people, there's this great sense of relief that they're able to come out and do something and earn income.
Right.
Because that stress and anxiety, over the period when we were shut down again, it was weighing heavily on people's minds.
Right.
I also managed to speak to a couple of people in San Juan. We have some car dealerships, and I actually called in and spoke to some of the salespeople and some of the owners. And they were telling me what their story was. Since the last lockdown, and during this one, they were working 3 days a week, which works out to something like 9 days a month.
Right.
And they were rostered on for 3 days a week. In some situations, they were earning a salary plus commission, and in some other situations, just a commission alone. But as you can imagine, at this time, with many businesses shut down and income flows curtailed, the purchasing of new vehicles and cars, it wasn't happening as it would have been happening before this whole coronavirus pandemic.
Of course.
It was tough for many of the employees. It was tough for car dealerships, but they're happy to be back on board as well too, and thankful. They're doing a appointment process whereby people can have appointments and come in and see the vehicles and so on. And like I say, it's a great sense of relief for people to be able to come out and operate again.
And surely. And, we have heard reports from other areas in the country with the reopening of certain businesses, including car dealerships, that have said that the traffic is very slow, that things are off to a very slow start, and it's a bit worrying for them. Is it similar in the San Juan area?
Yes, it is. It's a bit worrying for us all, because where we are at the moment in terms of where people in terms of their personal finances, as we roll through almost a year and a half of this pandemic, and the people are in survival mode. People are in, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if we're going to enter into another lockdown a couple months from now before Christmas. I need to prioritize my spending and my earnings and so on. And those are the things that, it doesn't make for commerce as usual. And some of the normal things that people would have wanted to do before this lockdown, what they would have been saving to do. They would have been saving to buy a new car.
Right.
They would have been saving to do things around the house. But all of these priorities have changed a year and a half into this pandemic. And that's why when the Prime Minister and the government came out and said, vaccinate to operate, it is so vitally important for us to vaccinate to operate. And it's something that the business community, and not only business community, but many of the employees are holding on to that with regard to what the government has said. Because the primary motivation for vaccination is not just, I want to protect myself, I want to contribute towards herd immunity, I don't want to suffer the worst effects of the vaccine, I don't want to die, not the vaccine, the worst effects of the coronavirus, I don't want to die from the coronavirus, that sort of thing. Is also about saying that I want to take this vaccine because I want that sense of normalcy to come back. Right. I want to go back to my job. I want to be able to earn income. I want things to get back to normal. And I want to be part of that process in getting things back to normal.
Surely, and it's that juggling act between lives and livelihood, and there needs to be a balance somewhere. Now, when it comes to the livelihood side of things in the San Juan area, when it comes to business, do you have any figures, or was there a great number of businesses that actually are no more now, that they had to actually close down due to the pandemic because they just could not stay open?
Yes, of course. Many of those businesses were food service businesses. These were businesses that popped up and were operating from rented premises. So what we found was that a lot of these small businesses that were operating out of rented premises they had to shutter and close for the foreseeable future. I really hope that they would be able to come back out after the restrictions are lifted. But for the time being, not being able to earn income and having arrears in rent, because there are very few situations where the landlord would say, you have to pay no rent whatsoever. Most of the time it was 50%. Sometimes some people were lucky at 25%, but 25% from one month to the next when you're not even earning $1 is a very difficult thing to carry when you have to carry your personal home expenses together with that.
Yeah,
so with stuff like, for example, spas and hairdressing salons, they were particularly hard hit as well as food service, simply because most of the time they're operating out of rental accommodation. I've heard a couple instances where people were locked out because their arrears got too high, and they had to move, and all these things entail costs. So to move, your salon means I have to take out my chairs, I have to take out my wash basins, my sinks from the area, from the premises, and then when I get back into it, if I have the cash to get back into it, then I have to reinstall all these things and whatever. So it's a worrying time for many people.
It really
At San Juan
is.
Business, what we've done is we've embarked upon a vaccination drive. Thankfully, the Ministry of Health, we wrote to them. They sort of allocated 2,000 vaccines for us, and we ended up getting it through the TTMA and Saber TT at the Diwali Nagar site. And we are embarking upon a vaccine drive. We have 4 days, four time periods during 4 days, in which to get people, to get vaccinated. And thankfully, the response has been good because we're really trying to push that businesses in the San Juan area vaccinate themselves and vaccinate their employees so that they are prepared and ready to reopen. And I listened to what you guys were talking about before with the ECA and vaccines and so on. And that's a very important discussion to have. But the other side of that discussion is, now that we are 250 plus thousand people who have taken a first jab, and we're nearing 175,000 people with their second jab, what will be the face of the next lockdown if we are ever in such a terrible position as to do that, which everyone hopes we will never be. But let's just say, because vaccinated people or vaccinated businesses and vaccinated people who are working, should we have to suffer the same effects as those people who are unvaccinated?
And that is the
should
question.
Should we be locked down again a second
Mr.
time when we are no longer at the primary risk? Because that first lockdown, it didn't only happen because, infection rates were getting high. It happened because the hospitals were being overrun and bed space was getting critically low. And one of the great things about the vaccine is that whereby it may not entirely prevent you from getting the virus, it will, to 100%, not mean that you have to go into the hospital, not mean that you're going to suffer from viral pneumonia or you're going to suffer from the worst effects unless you have very serious comorbidities, perhaps.
Right.
But other than that, it is going to drastically cut that risk.
Surely.
And so therefore, those people who have taken the risk to be vaccinated and made the choice to be vaccinated, we are no longer on the same level as those people who have not yet made up their minds or not yet made the choice to be vaccinated. So with choices come consequences. And the consequences of those people who took the vaccine at the beginning, when they were worried and unsure about the effects of the vaccine, when there was so much misinformation out there saying, you could die if you take the vaccine, you could get a blood clot, all these different things could happen. They still made the effort to do it for themselves, for the health of themselves, for family reasons, for business reasons, for employment reasons, for all the reasons. And now many of them are collecting their second shot and we're moving forward. For those people that have not yet made the choice, and I seriously hope that they will make the choice, because it is the only path available to us right now to get back to normalcy. If you're worried about your rent, if you're worried about your arrears, if you're worried about the bank, and I'm speaking from the perspective of a businessman or a company that has access moratoriums, that is dealing with financial obligations like everyone else, that had to send staff home for a couple months you know, it's been tough for everyone.
It really
and I think
has,
everyone wants to get to the end of this.
And we
But the
understand that
reality
you're
is
imploring the public to ensure that they make the choice for the greater good. We are out of time, Mr. Charan, but I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. I want to thank you as well for your views and sharing that with us and giving us an update as to the situation in Samoa. So again, have a great morning. Continue to be safe. And great work in what the association, the Samoa Business Association, has been doing with regard to the vaccination drive as well. Have a great morning, Mr. Charan.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right. Have a good one.